Hey guys, welcome to episode 3 of the 5 Minutes or Less podcast. This is a bonus overtime edition, so we're going way over 5 minutes, and I'm really probably going to change the name here pretty soon. This one's pretty exciting. Got a chance to get together with Greg Esposito, aka Espo, and talk a little bit about Suns jerseys and Suns jersey history. Despite some technical difficulties with audio, we were able to put together a pretty good conversation for you, so you get a chance to hear some things. Specifically, wanted to just clarify some stuff that may not come through clearly on the call. I was recently contacted by someone and claiming to be the relative of a really high-ranking executive with the Suns who had noticed my jerseys online and had some questions about what I would do with City Edition jersey. Specifically, would I keep it with the Los Suns theme? And you'll hear in the talk with Espo that I said I probably would. Interestingly enough, they also told me that the Suns have a new jersey planned for next year to coincide with the renovated arena, sort of like when we opened the arena in the 90s, and that's when the new Sunburst jerseys came out. So Espo had actually heard something very similar, and I trust that he has really good sources. I did vet my source a little bit, and I feel pretty confident that this person is who they say they are. I did promise I would not out them, so I'm not going to do that. And, I hate the whole unnamed sources thing, but I'm not a reporter, and I just don't really feel like blasting anybody out who spoke to me in confidence. Also, because it seemed like they took a little bit of an interest in my jersey designs. And again, if this person is who they say they are, the person who works for the Suns who's interested is a really important person, and I would be very excited if they had any interest in my designs and was kind of curious about what I would do with them. So enjoy the episode. I think we're going to get started here just after a quick message from our sponsors. But my thing is kind of like Suns jerseys and design. That's kind of like my big thing, and I know you're pretty passionate about it. So wanted to talk a little bit about that. I know you and I both recently heard through the grapevine, and I'm sure you probably got better sources than I do, but that the Suns are supposedly getting new uniforms next year to kind of go along with the new revamp of the stadium. Have you commented on that publicly at all?
No, and I haven't heard that it's a full redesign. I heard there may be a new City Edition in the fold. I believe that's the one. Whichever one the Los Suns, I can't keep these new Nike names straight, but whichever one the Los Suns uniform is, I've heard there'll be a new one next year, and I've been told I'll like it, but I have not heard any actual details on what that will entail or what it'll look like. But I'm wondering if it'll harken back to some of those 90s era or even maybe the 80s. I don't know, but it sounds like there'll be something decent in store for fans and wanting to make a splash with the renovated arena.
Me, if I redid the jerseys next year, the City Edition specifically, would I do a Los Suns theme? And I said I probably would. And they said that was a good thing. So it seems to me that that's probably where it's going. And I would not be surprised if the Los Suns goes in the direction of kind of the 90s Sunburst jerseys to kind of go along with the new arena. So that would be really cool. Hopefully we're both getting good information and we like where they're going, because I think that's something the fans all want to see.
Yeah, man. Some of your designs I've loved. I bought the burst design that you did on a T-shirt. I wear that thing proudly a lot, so I love that stuff.
That's cool, man. I think you and like one or two other people bought it, so thank you for the support.
Of course, thank you for designing something I can proudly wear. So
yeah, I'm working on more. I kind of don't sleep much. I do all that stuff when I'm not doing my real job. And that makes me wonder, I mean, that's got to be your favorite jersey, right? That 90s era. I think the purple, right? You've kind of commented before on some of the posts.
I go back and forth. I've always really loved the 90s black jersey. I'm not 100% sure why I gravitate towards that over the purple at times. I kind of vacillate between the two of them. The 95, it's not a Suns jersey, but the 95 All-Star jersey is a thing of beauty as well. If they ever went with that as an alternate, but with Suns on it rather than East or West, it would be a beautiful thing. And then this is going to surprise a lot of people, but there was I think it was 2014, the gray sleeved jersey that had the orange and black Phoenix on the front.
Oh yeah,
I,
yeah.
I
The old
really,
Western font.
yeah, I really liked those, but it's for a very obscure reason. It is that those harkened back to the original Phoenix Giants jersey, the first team in the Valley to win a championship back in the late 50s. And Al McCoy was actually the voice of that team. So that was an obscure reason I really liked those jerseys. And I actually got to write a lot of the kind of the marketing speak about those jerseys and kind of wrapped that in as part of it. I'm not sure that it was actually ever intended, but it was actually, even if it was incidental, something that harkened back to that. And that resonated with me as somebody who's been a Sun or a Phoenix sports fan and enjoys the history of things. That one is a surprising dark horse of a favorite jersey for me.
Yeah, I actually like that one too, and I'm glad you told me that. I didn't know about that Phoenix Giants tie-in, so now naturally I'm going to have to look that up. I liked it because, the whole Phoenix rising from the ashes, I kind of like when they tried to throw some of that gray in there, and I've done a couple mock-ups like that too. But I loved the old Western font on that one too. I wasn't a fan of the sleeve thing, the gimmick that the NBA went with for a while, but I did like that jersey. And you mentioned the All-Star jerseys. I love those. I've actually, when I started doing jersey designs, I wanted to make a Suns jersey with that template, and I wasn't capable. I just didn't have the skill at the time. Now I feel like I could. So I probably will take a crack at that pretty soon. But for me, I got to say it's the purple 90s jersey. I love the black one too. And when that one came out as the alternate, I think everybody kind of went crazy. But that purple one just always struck me that they got that purple color so right, and the trim and everything. I love that one. So that's my favorite Suns jersey of all time.
Yeah, I think to me, I love the 90s. Those are always going to be in number one, probably on my list. The 80s were great. It's funny that the 7 seconds or less Suns, that you could argue was the best run in franchise history, had the worst uniforms that I think the team's ever had. It was just nondescript, really boring, some weird oval on the front of it. Like, I just never understood those uniforms.
Yeah, it's weird. And then they kind of tweaked them a few times. When they came out, they were that heavy, shiny material. I actually have like a Sean Marion authentic hanging in my closet. And then they went to the mesh and they kind of changed the word mark, made it a little smaller. And I read through this really cool Suns jersey history website that it doesn't go up to the current jerseys. They did this back when Bledsoe was on the team. But when they get to that era, they try to like talk about those jerseys, as if they had something good going on. They just really didn't. Those were really tough to deal with. I have a video that I'm working on that kind of goes through the history, and that's part where I kind of joke that we had to suffer through that as fans.
Yeah, you want to know the humor in that site you just mentioned? I actually helped write that site, so
oh, nice.
I know
Okay.
I know exactly what you're talking about in terms of those. So yeah, those were just and the shiny was Reebok, and then they switched to Adidas, and that's when that shiny material went away with those. It's just like it should be the forgotten uniform era for this team, and unfortunately, it's going to be one of the most remembered because of the fact that that they were the Nash Amari Marion years, and I think on the other side of it, that the sad part is I really liked the 2010s uniforms that kind of brought back the streaks, but didn't fully bring back the streaks. Those are going to be forgotten because the team wasn't very good. So it's just this weird. if you could almost switch those two uniforms, I think it would be all right, but it's so bizarre.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. I really liked that jersey, and you it popped in my head when you said Adidas. I went to the unveiling of that jersey at Scottsdale Fashion Square Mall. I think Karan Butler was there because he was still, that brief time that he was on the team, and they had the players come out and model those. I really liked it, and I was sad that they went away from it so quickly when Nike took over, which kind of leads into the next thing I want to talk about, which is kind of feel like, especially for us, but just for the NBA in general, fans seem a little bit underwhelmed with what Nike has done so far with the league. I just wonder, you mentioned to me the other day that, that it's a combination of team and Nike sort of pushing these designs. Um, I just don't know what Nike was thinking when they took that jersey that we had sort of just gotten and then went in a totally different direction with what we have now, which I'm not the biggest fan of our current set. It's not as bad as the 7 seconds or less era for sure, but I do think it sort of lacks anything that points to, suns other than it says suns on it. There's people tell me that's about some of my designs. There's no sun on there. What, how is that a Suns jersey? But these are just, white, purple, and orange with a font on the front. I don't know how it really ties into the history or says anything about Suns. How do you feel about the job that Nike's done, sort of overall, and with the Suns specifically?
I I think Nike's done an all right job. I think the reason that they changed so quickly is Adidas owned the other design, is my understanding, or in part since they helped design it. There's all this weird political stuff when it comes to that because of the fact that it's giant corporations that design and create these things, so it becomes problematic. I don't, and Nike wanted to put their own spin on things, so that's kind of why they went away from it. The current uniforms, the only thing that saves them in my mind is I think they have uh, probably the tied for the best shorts of any Suns uniform with those 80s uniforms. And I think those kind of save them with the basically the burst streaks on them. I'm a huge shorts guy. I love jerseys, but shorts, I since as a middle-aged man, I can't, and a fat middle-aged man at that, I can't pull off this sleeveless jersey look. So usually it comes down to having to having to wear the shorts rather than the jersey. And so in doing that, I've become a big fanatic about the shorts, and I think that's what saves these Nike uniforms. Is it gives it a little flair, but overall they're pretty bland. And across the league, I've been underwhelmed with what Nike did. There was a lot of excitement that Nike was taking over because they tend to be innovative. And very few times have I looked at one of these jerseys that Nike's done and went, yeah, they got that right. They really did that well. I mean, I haven't seen that a lot, and especially not with the Suns. I mean, there's been elements that I've really liked. The all purple Los Suns uniform. If it didn't have that weird constellation thing on the back, I loved the purple on purple look with that because I'm a big fan of the Suns utilizing that color. Uh, the black uniforms weren't bad. This iteration of Los Suns I like, but I'm not a huge Los Suns guy on it. If you're gonna commit to doing the Hispanic jerseys, actually use the appropriate the language. That drives me nuts. So they've kind of hit and they've kind of missed is the way I feel with Nike, and I'm hoping they're starting to get their groove with basketball uniforms, and that they'll make some iterations for Sun stuff that starts to feel better.
Yeah, I hope so too. I really like the shorts. You mentioned that. I like our set, and I like the current Low Sun shorts with the flag. I'd love to see those in white or purple too. So hopefully we can see some sort of version of that, or I'll just mock one up and we'll see it. But yeah, I have to agree. Nike's done a couple things across the league that I've liked, but for the most part, a little underwhelming given their history, especially with like the Oregon Ducks and stuff like that and all the innovation. So we'll see. Hopefully it gets better. It's funny you mentioned, these designs kind of get tied up with these companies. They hire these huge companies to do them, and I get tons of feedback that fans like myself and others do better designs. So hopefully the Suns will sort of pay attention. Thank you, by the way, for all the help. You've been really helpful in helping get my name out there a little bit with sharing some of my stuff with your following. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, uniform nerds have got to stick together, my friend. That's the way I look at it, and I've enjoyed your design. So of course, happy to do it. And I think what happens with a lot of these uniforms, where fans can design things better, is because it becomes giant groupthink. It's not. It's front office people, it's ownership, it's marketing, it's the basketball operation. So all of a sudden, you get this weird clumping together of things, like just bizarre combinations sometimes, or an owner shoots down something that could be really cool because, well, he just doesn't like it, or his kids don't like it. And I'm not saying that's the case with anything in particular with the Suns. I'm just saying in general, that's kind of the way this stuff goes down.
Yeah, I've kind of heard that. Somebody told me, and I don't know if this is true or not, but somebody told me that Cyber's son basically decides on the jerseys. I don't know, if there's any truth to that, but that would be a shame. I heard this person who contacted me the other day told me that Cyber wanted a new jersey last season, and I guess there's time constraints around how soon they can change these jerseys and things like that. So hopefully we'll get something we love coming into next season. Hopefully we have a next season. I mean, I don't know if we're looking at the apocalypse here or not, but if we do, I would love to talk with you again. I really thank you for taking the time out and chatting with me. I'll try to edit this thing up and get something digestible out there for the fans to listen to, because we all need some entertainment right now.
Anytime, man. I'm happy to hop on and talk with you about any element of the Suns, but in particular, always happy to talk about uniforms with you.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, I love talking everything. I try to keep it focused, from what I do mostly on design. I got some new stuff coming up too, so I'll share that with you, and hopefully we'll talk again
soon. Excellent, man. I appreciate it, and yeah, sorry it took so long, but glad we got to do it. And if I can help in any other way, let me know.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Espo.
Bye.
Stay safe.